watching the Citizens Report. My name is William Donahue. For today's show, I have a section called Crazy World, a section called Trump, and a section called Foreign Entanglements. Before I get into that, please like and share the video. Also, subscribe to my channel. Check out my YouTube shorts. Follow me on X and follow me on TikTok. I'll post the links for those in the description of this video. So, for those three sections, the first one is Crazy World, and I called it that because everything in here is hard to categorize. So, basically, these are things that are going on in the world that I just find to be crazy. I don't see how any rational, freedom-oriented society could also have this going on and still be validated in that claim that they are pro-freedom. So, J.K. Rowling challenges new UK hate crime law. I look forward to being arrested. So she kind of went on, this is the author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling. Very famous person, went on kind of a rant on X, and she opposed the new hate crime laws, and she said things to instigate a reaction, in my opinion, and they're also her beliefs. So she said them because she believed them, and she said them because she believed she had the right to say that. So she was exercising her right to free speech. And they, a parliament member said that she could be arrested for this, that if somebody reported it, the police could decide whether it was in violation of this hate crime law, and she could be arrested. So since then, since this article came out, the police have said they will not arrest her, and I'm assuming that that's in relation to the backlash from this story being publicized. So, USDA confirms bird flu positive among Texas Panhandle cattle. So we've already seen, as far as the Texas Panhandle, we've already seen wildfires that wiped out tons of cows. Now we see the bird flu. This is a continuing trend that a lot of meat packing facilities and farms have been burned down, shut down, closed because of animals having diseases over the past 2 or 3 years. So this trend is continuing, and it is attacking, in a way, it is our food supply being severely damaged. So I also wrote on here, this is happening in multiple states. So this article is about the Texas Panhandle, but I read things, this says it's also happening in Kansas, and I read things about other states, Tennessee, I can't remember what they were, but there was like 5 states that if you type in bird flu in cattle, you'll find different articles about different states. So, massive bird flu contamination of the cattle, which I would imagine would correlate to a rise in food prices, if I had to assume. AT&T addresses recent data set released on the dark web. AT&T has determined that AT&T data specific fields were contained in dataset released on the dark web. Source is still being assessed. Which it says this information, which included personal information such as social security numbers. People's information has been hacked into, which is why I've always believed in keeping your information separate from the internet. That's what we were taught as kids, was not to put information on the internet. And now they want you to have an internet ID, an internet wallet, an internet account like social media, and they want it all to be linked so that your identity is on these things, which are clearly susceptible to hacking and breaches in your security. So, crazy world. The era of informed consent is over. HHS and the FDA quietly amend a provision of the 21st Century Cures Act that went into effect on January 22nd, 2024, overturning patent-informed consent. So an excerpt from that revision is an exception from the requirement to obtain informed consent when a clinical investigation poses no more than a minimal risk to the human subject. So they're saying that they don't have to tell you you're part of a clinical investigation if it poses a minimal risk. So it is a trial that you no longer have to be informed that you're a part of. I don't know to what extent that reaches as far as what medications it allows for and things, the deeper things of this, but just that alone. We should have the right to consent to any medical treatment that is in the Nuremberg codes and should be followed because it's been abused, obviously. Oklahoma State Patrol diverts traffic after a barge hits bridge over Arkansas River. A barge struck a bridge over the Arkansas River Saturday, the Oklahoma State Patrol said. The highway was closed to traffic afterwards, so they've opened up this bridge again since then, but the bridge was struck by a barge within a week's time of the key bridge being collapsed. So I don't know if this is going to be a new trend that's going to start, but something to pay attention to as these things, types of events, like we see in one train derailment, then 5 more. So do we see one bridge collapse and then 5 more, or what is the correlation, if any? Something to pay attention to, though. Border Patrol catches previously deported murderer back in the U.S. This is a aggravated felon, I think they call them. Convictions, a slew of convictions, including first-degree murder, arrested in New Mexico. And then this article goes on to say that they caught a few more people in the El Paso sector within this week. Previously deported member of Payas gang was arrested at a stash house in Las Cruces, New Mexico, along with 2 smugglers running an operation of 10 illegal immigrants. Additionally, a Mexican illegal convicted of raping a child in Kansas was apprehended in New Mexico. So, that is a small window into the border crisis. I know I haven't been touching on the border crisis too much. I really focused a lot on the Russia-Ukraine situation and the intelligence agencies aspect of that. So I'm going to try and do a little border coverage coming up soon. 27.6 million people are currently in forced labor. This article I just bring up because I've brought it up before with this border situation. They're running gang stash houses of 10 people, raping people, murdering. So the types of people that are being caught for crimes are capable of doing things that the regular human doesn't relate to. So you almost don't accept that it's even a possibility because it is so out of the realm of your thought process. Now, this isn't to say that every illegal is a bad person. This is to say what some people are capable of, and then with a giant growing number of people in forced labor, 27.6 million, it makes you wonder where these people are being taken from, because it's a lot of people to move around, to feed, to hide somewhere. Where is this going on? And why are the global communities focused on things when we have joined them to stop slavery? We join these global organizations to stop things like slavery, to stop the growth of communism, certain things for certain reasons, but we ignore this problem to my knowledge. I haven't seen us go into China to stop Uyghur slaves. So this is an issue that is out of like my realm of thought, because these are sex trafficking victims, these are forced labor victims, these are people who their entire life is exploited for labor. They are used as a commodity, and this should be a massive issue on the United States' radar. Staff at taxpayer-funded Colorado virus lab were bitten by COVID-infected hamsters and disease-ridden bats in shock spat of accidents, exclusive documents show. The taxpayer-funded Colorado lab that handles the world's deadliest viruses has suffered from a shocking number of accidents in recent years, from the Daily Mail. The reports are never disclosed to the public, despite occurring at the height of the COVID pandemic, which many officials, including the FBI, suspect was born out of a similar lab accident in China. So, I thought we weren't allowed to do gain-of-function research in the United States. I thought that we handled things in the correct way. These reports never being disclosed are a massive lapse in judgment on the behalf of our entire health, whatever departments are seeing over this. But where is like the FBI or any of these investigative bodies that can see things like this and stop them before they become a problem? So this might not have been a problem, but this is the recipe for a massive problem. And it happened right here, and nobody questioned it. You never heard about it in the news at the time because they were hiding it, but also because it didn't fit the narrative. So things like this, we need to minimalize. I don't know what that looks like as far as cutting back certain defense funding for things of this nature, but let's just put it like this. So if you don't create a bioweapon, there won't be a bioweapon. I think that every country should get together and make a bioweapons moratorium and stop all this nonsense. Because I don't know what it is, but people are strangely sick. People have been sick for a month at a time. you know, this type of stuff never happened before, and it is not something I could relate an article to, in my opinion. It's just an observation I have, and it's something that's unnatural about the state of the world. Uh, to say that that's because of any biolabs would be an assumption, but I mean, if we're having accidents at biolabs constantly, there should be a moratorium on the creation of biolabs, gain of function research, all those things, because this has no benefit for humanity, in my opinion. So the next section is called just Trump. That's what I wanted to title it, because what I'm going to do with this section is I'm going to, in 3 articles, point out the whole situation with what's going on with Trump. So even before where I'm going to start, there was issues, but really what set aside the Trump presidency from a normal presidency, in my opinion, was when the second election started. You see in a Trump change in attitude, you saw more and more vicious attacks from the other side. And then the mail-in ballots. COVID happened. The mail-in ballot became a focal point, and it was due to changes in policy because of the social distancing rules and all those things. So this article, Republicans score win in battle over Pennsylvania ballot requirements. Mail-in ballots without dates or with incorrect dates should not be accounted. Federal appeals court rules. That you'd think would just be common sense. If somebody doesn't date it, sign it, or whatever the required boxes to fill in, you'd think that would not need a ruling. That's already the rules. But the mail-in ballots themselves, the fact that they had to make this ruling is ridiculous. So before this, we were accepting mail-in ballots with incorrect dates, without the date. You know, how is it the most fair and secure election if we don't know whether the person voted on time, or whether it was the person that voted or that signed the thing? How is that the most secure election in history? And that's where it all started. So then this whole idea built up that there was going to be election interference, or there was going to be some type of cheating going on. So then the election happened. Donald Trump goes through the election process. We all saw what happened. The spike in votes, the water main break, the whole thing. And people were concerned, justifiably so. People were concerned about whether it was a fair election. And you'd think, okay, let's all vote on it. Put your name in the hat, and then we'll see how many. Okay, there's 5 for you and 5 for you. Or 5 for you and 4 for you. And everyone said, okay, can we see the cards? If I say, nope, that there was 5 for him, he won, and I just put him like this, that's suspicious. So that's a simplified analogy. Then the government just went, nope, you can't see it, and hid everything, because they dismissed every case that was brought up prior to evidence being brought forth. So that whole thing, I'm not gonna apologize for being hardcore on the situation. that was a legitimate concern that led to a protest, a permitted protest at January 6th at the Capitol on January 6th, which now the January 6th committee failed to preserve records, has no data on Capitol Hill's security failures, GOP charges. So we've seen Liz Cheney trying to cover up the fact that Donald Trump called for National Guard to protect the Capitol, and now, similar to Hillary Clinton's emails and similar to the entire building that held the documents for missing money prior to 9/11, similar to the technology to go to the moon, this data and footage is now deleted. So what happened on January 6th, certain people may never be vindicated. I don't know what the details of what they deleted was, because it got deleted, but certain people may never be vindicated, and the truth may never come out about that situation thanks to the mishandling of records. J6 committee failed to preserve records. So this article, there's people who disputed it and said that they didn't mishandle the records. Well, if you don't have them anymore, that's mishandling. So Trump appeals ruling that allowed Fani Willis to stay on Georgia case. This pertains to prior to the election, when I was talking about some of the problems that was already going on with Trump. It was just attacks and double standards and unfair rulings and unjust accusations that continued throughout his presidency to discredit him. And here we're seeing it again. So Fani Willis lied on out-of-court statements that were improper. The defendant proved an apparent conflict of interest. Donald Trump proved a conflict of interest. The trial court erred as a matter of law by not requiring the dismissal of DA Fani Willis's disqualification. So this case should be dropped immediately. So for my next section, foreign entanglements, this article here just kind of made me angry. This soldier, it says, soldier blasts Biden after getting charged for gear he left in Afghanistan. So the pullout from Afghanistan was like an overnight thing. ISIS, I believe, was moving into the Kabul airport, and these people had to get out of there. Members of our military died. There was a hostage situation. This guy left behind some gear, and now he is being charged between $500 and $1,000 for the gear that he left behind. So the Biden administration can leave behind tanks and helicopters and all kinds of things, weapons like that, but this soldier leaves behind his assigned belongings, and now he's going to be charged for that. So I just thought that was unfair. And then Iranian embassy in Syria targeted by large Israeli airstrike in major escalation. So Israel struck an Iranian embassy in Syria. IDF chief confirms Israel behind strike on Iran arms convoy near Syria-Iraq border. So this is Iran being targeted in Syria by Israel. This is Iran again being targeted near Iraq in Syria on their border. So massive escalations. That's one of the United States allies. So basically just attacking everyone around them, which is a great way to get yourself surrounded and then draw in other militaries who are supposed to be your ally to come and save you. And that is the plot that I'm seeing unfold, or that is the plan behind this kind of movement. If you act like that, the only thing that I could conclude, in my opinion, is that you expect to be saved, and it's unfair. It's an unfair position to put all of your allies in. So Israel is just attacking everybody around them, and it is a massive escalation, and something that could ultimately be a major turning point in history. Israel is determined to invade Rafah. The U.S. is still waiting for its plan. So this article was talking about the situation with Gaza. Gaza, the Palestinian the Palestinian section of the country of Israel. It is a strip, and at the bottom of it is the city of Rafah. So far, Israel has pushed its way down all the way to where there's nowhere to go on the border of Egypt, this city of Rafah. So everyone was, in the beginning, told to seek refuge in Rafah. So all the refugees gathered in Rafah, and now Rafah is going to be invaded, and people are saying that this is a war crime, a genocide. There's all kinds of accusations about war crimes that are being carried out in this situation. Netanyahu approves operational plan to attack Rafah and Gaza. So he approved the plan. They are seemingly going to carry it out, which is something that the U.S. probably is not going to want to be tied into. When hindsight is 2020 and people look back, this will be a massive mistake for the U.S. to be associated with, along with all of the escalations in the other countries surrounding Israel. This is a blunder. Is it worth risking our reputation on the world stage to defend a belligerent person or a belligerent country who is indiscriminately starting wars with every major country that has oil interests, things that we have intricate agreements like OPEC that have taken a long time to build, and jeopardizing it for the United States. That is a bad alliance, in my opinion. Why Biden's White House iftar unraveled amid Gaza war. This is from Al Jazeera. It's basically saying that the Biden White House was going to hold a Ramadan iftar meal, and several Muslim Americans declined the invitation in protests of Joe Biden's support for the Israel war. So they had to cancel the Ramadan meal, and that's just sad. That's just sad, because freedom of religion is an important thing. I enjoy the freedom to have my religion. I am a Christian. I enjoy letting people share their religion with me so that I can learn about it. I like to say that you learn as much as you can so that you could stand firm in your own belief, but also understand where people are coming from. So we have made, our White House has made an entire group of people angry with them And this is basically just showing the effect of that. Johnson's new push for Ukraine aid faces divided response from House, Senate Republicans. So, Speaker Mike Johnson is pushing for Ukraine aid, and they're saying that the House is split. The Senate Republicans are split. Those aren't Republicans. Anyone split on this issue is what is known as a rhino. These people who would fund another Ukraine aid bill knowing that their constituents are against sending any more money to Ukraine, they don't represent Republicans. That's a rhino, or whatever else you want to call it, swamp people. That's what you call the swamp. It's a bunch of people who just work for the same goals but act like they oppose each other. And this here is something that Mitch McConnell, or no, not Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy was not representing the American people. Matt Gaetz ousted him from his speakership, and Johnson was voted in to do that thing, to represent the American people and to be a majority leader for the Republican Party, and is now turning from the things that we want. Central European state leaders invited to BRICS summit. So BRICS is Brazil, Russia, India, China, Saudi Arabia. Their goal is to create a world currency where either people would be buying oil in rubles or yen or one of the currencies of these states. So it'd be a consolidation of monies of countries that would be similar to the UN as a global influence, and another massive, or maybe similar to the EU. So another massive alliance that adds to the complexity of the political theater and the geopolitical climate that the world is up against. So that's my last article. I hope that everyone enjoyed the show. Please like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and I hope that you have a good night.
Thank you for watching The Citizens Report with William Donahue. On this show, we search for knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the world around us through the lens of an American citizen.